Welcome. In this lesson, we're learning that there is another way to measure angles. Angles can be measured in radians as well as degrees. It's like centimeters versus inches. So don't get confused. And it'll take a while for you to realize that radians is just a unit of measure, angle measure, just like degrees is. And what's nice to recall or remember, this is what I'd write down, is that at one time around a circle, an angle that goes all the way around the circle is 360 degrees. That's the same as 2 pi radians, or 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. Using this relationship, we can come up with a ratio to multiply by. If we're going to go from degrees to radians, so like this first problem, I'm going from 90 degrees and I want to go to see how many radians is. So going from degrees to radians, I multiply by this ratio of pi over 180. So I just take 90. I really should put a little circle here to make sure you realize that's degrees. 90 degrees times pi over 180 degrees. Well, then we reduce or cancel. 90 goes into 180 twice, and we're left with pi halves radians. Because these are radians and those are degrees, and the degree symbols cancel, leaving pi halves radians. It would be this one right here. Now, if we were going from radians to degrees, we'd multiply by the reciprocal of pi over 180, or 180 over pi. Again, write this down so you have it, and then this lesson really won't take that long or be too difficult. So rewind and write those down if you haven't. Going from 60 to 60 degrees to radians, we're going to multiply by pi over 180 and then reduce, because 60 goes into 180 3 times. So if I go into it 3 times, it's pi over 3, or pi thirds radians. The main reason I gave you this lesson is just to make sure you realize that there is a difference between radians and degrees, because when you are working with a calculator, you need to make sure your calculator is in the right form. So now we're going from, well, that's again 162. It says give your exact answer. So again, it might be a little bit more confusing. 162 degrees times pi radians over 180. Okay, 160 doesn't go into 180, but they're both even. So I got, what, 81 pi over 90, because I divided both of those by 2. Well, they're both divisible by 9, so I get 9 pi over 10, 9 pi over 10, and that doesn't reduce. So I come over here now, and it allows me to do a fraction. I do a fraction, I do 9, I do pi, and I do over 10, 9 pi tenths. I'm going to jump ahead. I'm thinking it might give us some, yep, so now we have radians. So again, if I have pi 6 radians and I want to go to degrees, I multiply by 180 over pi, and the pi's are going to cancel. And 6 goes into 180 30 times, not 3, I was going to say 3, 30 times, so it's 30 degrees. So again, multiply by 180 over pi if you're going from radians to degrees. Going to jump ahead again. So here we have 3 pi fourths. We want to get it into degrees, so I multiply by 180 degrees, put the degrees on top, over pi radians, and then the pi's cancel, and 4 has a factor of 2. This has a factor of 2, which is 90. Still a factor of 2, so that's a 1. That's a 45, because I divided by 2. 3 times 45 would be 135 degrees. So again, cross-canceling will make this much easier. You could also use a calculator if you needed to. If you have any questions on this lesson, please do bring them to class. but it's pretty straightforward, I'm hoping.